Hi everyone, I'm the Bipolar OG. Today's topic is, should people with bipolar disorder share their illness in the workplace to their employer? I'm going to give you my thoughts about what I have done and my thoughts about how it's impacted me. And I'm going to give you the pros and I'm going to give you the cons. If this video helps you, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps me and it lets me know whether or not these videos are helping you. So let's begin. All right, to begin with, for those of you that don't know, I have bipolar 1 with mixed state and rapid cycling. And if I am not on medication, which I have been steadily for over 10 years now, my mixed state or mania will quickly go into psychosis, which is not good at all. It's very destructive. So I have been on medication consistently, and for about the past, I think it was 2 years into being stable on my meds, that I was able to get a job, and which I had not had a job for several years prior to that because I had not taken care of myself. I'd been unmedicated and out of control, and working was not, I was not able to work or maintain or keep a job. So it was, like I said, about 2 years of stability, and I was offered a position as a personal assistant to a really wonderful woman, and I disclosed my illness to her without even thinking twice about it. I disclosed that I had bipolar disorder, and in retrospect, thinking back now, I don't know why I did so rapidly, but I did, and it didn't seem to faze her at all or bother her. And I even shared that I wasn't sure I would be able to, be capable of doing the job to her standards, because even though I was stable, there would be a chance that I would have bad days and so forth. But she was willing to work with me and did, and so I started the job. Now, to be clear, though I shared my illness or diagnosis with my boss, I did not ask for any special treatment at all, though my boss was really great. She was a high-level executive, and even though I was her personal assistant, I was only her personal assistant for about 3 months when she brought me into her office, and I was working in an executive fashion, which was something brand new to me. And I really had reservations, but she was so patient with me, and it was something very new, but she was patient. She took her time with me, and I learned so much, and that was definitely a wonderful experience. So now I'll get into the pros and the cons. So the business I worked for was a small company of about 10 employees. And as I said, when I first started working for my boss, it was just she and I, one-on-one, me as a personal assistant. And then she brought me into an office environment, and, with a desk and tasks to do. And, I have bipolar disorder, I have ADHD, and even medicated, it is not always easy for me to stay on task, but I did my best. And she, like I said, she encouraged me, she complimented me, and the pros, I guess the first pro I would say is I felt very empowered, and that for the first time in a long time, and that felt great. And with each small step of doing and learning, I felt like I was getting my, I was getting myself back, you know, I was getting my mind back because I hadn't used it in so long. And the reason I hadn't used it, I really wasn't able to use it because I was unmedicated and I was out of control. So that would be a pro of disclosing it is, you know, knowing that my boss knew what I had and she still hired me and put me into this really kind of a high level, trustworthy position and trusted me. Another pro was the sense of empowerment it gave me each time I was given a stronger task, a more difficult task, more challenging task. It like made me feel like the me I was prior to when my illness made me start cycling so hard. It gave me that drive again, that drive to not give up and, you know, that tenacity that I hadn't had for a long time, sense of pride, and that was a real pro. The third thing I would say would be I learned that even in really stressful situations, I was able to make it through. And I did make mistakes, to be clear. I made some not terribly serious, but I made some mistakes, and thankfully she forgave me. But you know, I made mistakes like getting lost on the way to an event or something, and or I did make mistakes, and she was patient, and I'm thankful for that. But you know, again, the pro of telling her, I mean, if I hadn't, what it would it have made me just look like, you know, a dummy and I don't know. But anyway, I felt it was pro. Now, for the cons. Let me preface the cons by saying that during the entire time then and up until today, I have seen my psychiatrist, Dr. Morton, every month or every 5-6 weeks, you know, whether it's by call, in person, whatever, I have a meeting. And during this job, he, from the beginning, had happiness, and he also had reservations about this type of job for me. We've always been very honest with each other, my psychiatrist and I, and he was very supportive, but he also knows how serious my illness is, and he knows the impact stress has on me, and he knows that stress can get me into an episode very quickly, even on medication. So for the cons, just to jump forward, I did work for this company for 5 years, and 4 of those years were pretty great. And it was on the 5th year that things kind of went to hell in a handbasket. And when I say that, my boss's husband was a kind of a tyrant. He was a tyrant. He was like a little Napoleon tyrant. And he was just like that. He wasn't just like that with me. He was like that with everyone. But he really seemed to hone in and zero in on me. And I don't know why. I don't know if I was just an easy target or what, but, and he knew my condition. He'd known me, you know, for 5 years, but he had had his own other side business. But on that year, that 5th year of working for this company, he had closed that business, and he had decided that he was going to come in and work as the HR person at our company, and so he'd be in the office daily with us. And it wasn't just me, but it was met by kind of shock, and that's all it meant to say. I was kind of surprised by the whole staff, but in any event, the pressure on me was really ratcheted up, and it was totally different. The atmosphere, everything was different. My boss's, her attitude changed around the other employees, not just me. Everything changed, and with a person like me that experiences, or can, not all the time, but can experience delusional, distorted thinking, it can be a very confusing time. And as the stress started mounting that final year, a lot of stuff started, becoming problematic. And as he got more agitated and was stomping around the office and frequently yelling at people, and especially me, and I started being treated differently. Things like, it made me feel like I was like a kid with ADHD, moved to the front of the classroom with my own desk. I got moved, to the front of the office, off in a corner, and then I was screamed at all the time. And, I'm very sensitive and emotional, and it really bothered me and got me upset. And at first I would just like run to the bathroom, sit in the bathroom, and I remember going, "You've got the skin of a rhino. You've got the skin of a rhino," trying to really psych myself into being strong. But it was really, really hard. Pretty soon, my boss, my female boss, she was my boss, noticed me getting upset and crying, and she was like, "What's going on?" And the last thing I wanted to do, because she was off in a separate area, she didn't witness any of this, and the last thing I wanted to do was say anything negative about her husband. Having been married to a former narcissist gaslighter myself, the last thing I wanted to do was say anything about her husband. And I also thought, I need to be a big girl, wear my big girl pants, and handle this myself. And I can do this. And yet, I was not really handling it well at all. And my emotions were getting the better of me. And I started feeling these persecutory feelings coming on, and I was emotional all the time. And when she saw me crying, she demanded to know what, and she asked if it was her husband. And, when I said yes, everything just changed. And the next thing I knew, when I came into work the following day, he looked at me and he said, "What's your problem? Are you taking your meds?" in front of the entire office. And I was just mortified, I mean, the other people knew that, I don't know how many of them knew, but anyway, it was pretty embarrassing. And when I talked to my psychiatrist, he was just like, "That is absolutely not okay at all." He was very supportive, and he was also very concerned. And I started getting delusional thinking, but it was not, it was for real, for a reason, because he was treating me in a really negative, derogatory way that he should not have been. And so I began acting very erratic. I started cycling and became very paranoid, and had a hard time concentrating, and my work started to suffer. And then I was on a ladder at work, and putting away some things, and I fell off the ladder and hurt myself. And I asked for time off from work and to heal up, and that was met with like I was faking it. And the next thing I knew, I was fired. And when I asked why I was being fired, I was just told that by him, I don't need a reason to fire you. And at that point, I just like blurted out, you know, you have been a bully here. I mean, I just let the emotions pour out. You are a bully. I am actually relieved you fired me. And honestly, even though I wanted that job and I felt like a failure that I couldn't make it work, I couldn't keep going on. And so, and I couldn't have. And I was really, really lucky that, and I had hurt my back seriously. I had 3 seriously bulging discs. And I was lucky that I didn't like go into a real serious psychosis or something from that. So that was my experience. Now, on to what I would do in the future. Would I share my diagnosis in the future? If I was working in a situation where I was working with other people with my type condition or a mental illness or in a rehab situation, absolutely, I would still share. I would have no second thoughts about that. But if I was working in, and this makes me sad to say this, but if I was working in a situation like that where the norm, I would say the majority of people, well, they did not disclose as I had that they had a mental illness, I would not do that again, because I feel that it definitely put a label on me, and it, you know, it made me definitely treated differently, and it didn't work out well for me in the end. So I don't like when people draw comparisons to what those of us with bipolar disorder go through. It is a really, really difficult thing to have to deal with. And, you know, having dealt with it for so many years, it is an uphill struggle and battle. And to everyone that has it and is going through it and dealing with it, you know, I know what you're going through, and be proud of yourself, you know, for every day that you manage it, for every day that you wake up and, you know, you tell yourself, I'm going to do this again, and just make it like Groundhog Day, only make it a good Groundhog Day. Just wake up and say, I'm going to make today the best day I can. Those are my thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave your comments below, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.